Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
This is a bonus episode.
Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black entrepreneur experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards. Our next guest has performed around the world, released 3 remix EPS, runs a successful music business, adjunct professor, and hosts and produces the Amani Experience podcast. Welcome, Amani Roberts.
Thank you very much for having me. Good to be here.
I've given our audience such a brief bio. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you'd like them to know about you and your business?
As you said, I DJ events all over the world. I'm a professor, author, released a book, DJs Mean Business, a little bit over a year ago. I'm working on my second book. I love to live stream, and that's a pretty good quick summary about me, my business, and where I'm now and where I'm going in the future.
Talk about integrating being a DJ with business.
I think that there are distinct parallels between a DJ performance or set from like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. and growing a business, whether it be when you first open up a business, having to get to know your ideal client, and then when you're DJing, you're first opening up a set, having to get to know who's in the building and keeping them there. And then you kind of continue on to troubleshooting when you have issues with technology. Something always goes wrong in the DJ booth, whether it be a speaker, computer, mixer. Same thing in business. You always have to make changes and shifts if your first idea for the business isn't going as you would like it to be, but you can't stop. Like the music can never stop. And you just kind of proceed on through the night as the DJ set and through your business. If you get to prime time, which is when you want the dance floor packed, people coming in and staying on the dance floor, singing along. Same thing in business. You just want to continue to grow sales year over year, month over month. So similar concepts there. And then kind of towards the end of the night, using nostalgia to recreate your business, where I use nostalgia to kind of bring people to the dance floor one final time, leave them happy, thinking of great memories. And then there's a final chapter on like taking feedback, getting feedback, and how that helped you grow your business and stay relevant to all your clients.
You talked about things going wrong and pivoting. Talk about that pivot and the pandemic with profits.
So for me, as a DJ, there were no gigs anywhere. Gigs pretty much stopped for at least a year. So I had to make a couple shifts. First shift was to embrace live streaming. So specifically like live streaming from my house, performing DJ sets for different clients through Zoom or other platforms. And then for me personally, on like a platform like Twitch, where you can live stream, create your own channel, create your own content. And this really allowed me to continue to DJ, to fall in love with DJing again, but also create a talk show and game shows that now I can transfer back into the corporate environment when I'm doing corporate events. And so that's what I did because of the pandemic, which has really now allowed my business to grow. And I'm looking to do even more unique events and activities as we move forward out of the pandemic.
The word is listening. What is that resounding sound or message that your generation is saying that we should be listening to?
I think we have to be listening to our clients in terms of what they want, listening to ourselves in terms of what we want, because I think now more than ever, self-care is important, finding a healthy balance between the work you're doing, the work you want to do, and also your own personal satisfaction. And I think that is probably at the top of my personal list right now. And I think it's at the top of many people's personal lists. And I think it's most important.
Talk about self-care. What does self-care look like for you?
For me, reading, whether it be fiction or nonfiction, is very therapeutic for me. So I do that frequently just to kind of wind down, or during a lunch break. Reading is really important. Knowing when to get proper rest, that's an area of opportunity for me because I tend to kind of burn both candles at both ends, as they say. Going on different trips or traveling will help you with self-care, helps also reignite your creativity. Eating properly, exercising properly, That's all self-care. And then finally, just continuing to invest in yourself in terms of self-improvement. I think that's one thing that is missed in self-improvement. I combine that with like mindset, because if you have the proper mindset and you continue to work on that, then your self-care will be at a high level.
Tell us what you're most grateful for now in your life.
First, my health. I think we've learned not to take health for granted. So definitely my health, the variety and high quality of my community that I have, both with my friends, family, as well as the community I built on a platform like Twitch. Very grateful for that. I'm grateful for my teaching position. That teaching position has changed my life in many ways and really allowed me a different pathway for my career. So I'm grateful for that. I'm just grateful for that I took the risk to begin my DJ career later on in life, because I started in my early 30s, which is a little bit different from traditional DJing. So those will be the top 4 or 5 things that I'm grateful for.
You mentioned reading. What book would you recommend and why?
Oh, so many books. I think for all creatives, I recommend The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. It's 12 chapters, so a chapter a week. You do the specific exercises. It can really help you unlock your creativity. That's another book. Also, I really love Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. I think that's a phenomenal book too. And then I have a book here, The Sun Does Shine. It talks about the gentleman who was unlawfully put onto death row in Alabama, and his story about always keeping hope. That's a powerful book. So those are 3 right there in terms of fiction. Also another nonfiction book is I love Luther Vandross's autobiography. I think that was a phenomenal story. It really talks about what was behind his success as well as what prevented him from being successful. So that's 4 right there. Fiction-wise, I love this author, Karen Alexander. She has a series called the Will Trent series. I think that is an extremely powerful fiction book, which will keep you engaged. Those are 5 right there. I'm looking. And then I just finished reading Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins. That's another nonfiction book. I recommend actually listening to that one. He does curse a lot, but it's needed in terms of describing what he went through. And that is a really strong and powerful autobiography. So those are 5 right off the bat.
Thank you for that. Amani, I want you to have a monologue. I'd like you to name the person and what would you say to this person? And this person has inspired you so much in your life, and this person can be living or not. Who is that person, and what are you saying to them?
I'll kind of keep it close to the vest, and maybe it'll be about my father. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. He passed, almost 17 years ago to the day. But he was one who really inspired me with work ethic, with doing multiple side hustles. He was always there for all my soccer games, performances. So he just showed a high level of work ethic that I try to fulfill nowadays in my own life. And he opened up my world to music. He was one who would play all different types of music in the house, in the car. We were driving to soccer games. And, it is because of him and his educating me on music that I really decided to go for becoming a DJ and continue to pursue being a professor. Although when I was younger, in my career, I tried to stay as far away from being a professor as possible, but somehow ended up here because my father, he was a professor and department director at Howard University in DC and department chair. So funny enough, still follow his footsteps. So just that's who I would kind of talk about, and I continue to try to emulate as I move forward.
Thank you for sharing that. What is the best decision you've made as a leader?
I would say the best decision I've made is sacrificing a very nice and good paying corporate job to start over again as a DJ and grow my DJ business. It was a big risk. I took a massive pay cut, but I wasn't happy with what I was going. So I decided to pretty much risk everything and go for it. I'm in a much better place now than I was back then.
Talk about legacy. When it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as a DJ who has played events all over the world, played any type of genre of music, but who loves his slow jams. A successful author who's written multiple books, and an educator who's able to inform the youth about the opportunities in business that they might not have considered before through being a DJ or any creative, and just someone who people look up to and want to follow in my same footsteps, although they weren't traditional footsteps.
Talk about the books you've written and how can someone purchase those books?
So my first book is DJs Mean Business. That's going to be purchased on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, anywhere where you can get your books, physical books. You can purchase it. Also, the Audible version of that book will be coming in the next few months. And the next book I'm writing, it's not done yet, focuses on why there are no longer any Black R&B groups in the Billboard Top 20. And we go through the history of Black R&B groups from the 1950s to early 2000s, what happened to them, why they fell out of the charts and never returned, and what do we predict for the future. That's the next book I'm working on now, which I'm really excited about. And those are the two books that I have currently either done or in progress.
And what can we do right now to support your business?
If you know anyone in the world who's looking for an amazing DJ, whether it be for your virtual event or in person, to go to my website, AmaniExperience.com, and reach out to me. Also follow me on all the socials, which is at Amani Experience across Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and watch me live stream when I live stream on twitch.tv/Amani Experience. Sundays, Mondays, and Wednesdays is when I go live.
Is there a specific time?
So Sundays, right now, it's like 11 p.m. Eastern time. Mondays, I have my Twitch University show where I interview people who stream, and we'd learn together about live streaming on Twitch and other platforms. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then Wednesdays, I do different kind of game shows, whether it be a dating night, the match game on Twitch. We've done Twitch Squares, the Newlywed Game. That's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time.
What do you need right now that you don't have to move the needle forward?
Well, I'm currently in school getting my master's in music business at Berklee College of Music in Boston. And I need to finish that program. So I'll be prepared to finish that in December. And that will help propel me move more forward in the educational realm, as well as different speaking opportunities, going to conferences, talking about the music business and what changes there are. And so I need to finish that. I need just to be able to speak to other Black R&B groups or musicians that are out there about my next book. And just to, I need to continue to maintain my good health. And I just need more inspiration in terms of recreating and continue to stay relevant in the online space and with my business.
Let's talk about redo. Talk about an event in your life that you would redo and why.
I might choose to stay in corporate America for fewer years. I would choose to take the risk sooner to begin my DJ career. I recognized at age 19 or 20, that I wanted to be a DJ, but I didn't have the courage to go for it. It took me 13 years to get the courage to go for it. So if given the chance, I might redo that and try to pursue that sooner, because I love it now and I know I would have loved it then. It's funny though that because I pursued it a little bit later in life, I've been through enough ups and downs to stick with it, because I did have some ups and downs in the DJ career too. But if given a chance, I would just go back and start my DJ career sooner and get going a little earlier.
Talk about that moment when you quit your day job.
Well, a lot of my family thought I was crazy just because giving up so much revenue. It was scary because I had to do a lot of different kind of side jobs, whether it be writing, driving for Uber, just to maintain and pay bills in one of the most expensive cities in the world, Los Angeles. But I had to really just take it slow, step by step, build up the revenue slowly but surely again. One of the things that really helped propel me was two things: going to Scratch Academy so I could get proper education on DJing, also build my network that way, and then joining a professional association, Meeting Professionals International, the Southern California chapter, that allowed me to network with other like-minded professionals, but also meet different event planners, other small business owners who were going through the same thing I was going through, and really grow my leadership capabilities too. So the combination of those two events, Scratch Academy and MPI, helped kind of give me a solid foundation. And then I was just trying to earn money and stay afloat and use some savings, of course, but use those activities and organizations to stay strong and just build over time.
What is your biggest achievement so far in business?
I think it's kind of twofold. First would be DJing a major event in Brazil during the World Cup in 2014, and then also DJing a couple really high profile social events, weddings, one that was featured in People magazine. Those are probably the two biggest ones. And then I can pick a third, which would be graduating from Scratch Academy with one of the highest scores ever in the program after previously not passing the final class the last semester. So the ability to have some resilience and come back in this new career where I was still learning, those three come to mind.
Talk to a younger you. What advice would you give to a younger you?
Try not to worry about what people think of you because they're going to think it anyways. DJing is a legitimate career that can financially sustain you for the rest of your life as long as you stick with it. And risks are okay. So take a lot of risks. And then I would remind them of this African proverb that I speak about a lot. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. So it's okay to collaborate with people. And when you collaborate, you actually get further along than you can by yourself.
Absolutely. And we know here in Las Vegas, the DJs makes lots of money.
Yes, they do. I have several close friends who are DJs in Vegas, and they do well there. So
Very
it's
well.
possible.
Yes, it is. What have you not done in life that you dream about often that you want to do?
Winning a Grammy for remixes, that's on my list. I talk about that frequently. DJing with Jazzy Jeff, that's a high on the kind of the bucket list right there. Writing like a second or third book, which I'm working on. Those are the two or three that come to mind right away. And then just, which I'm kind of working on now, is I really want to create a music business class, and I'm in process of doing that at Cal State Fullerton. So people and the kids, the students love the music business, but they need to understand all aspects of it because there's a lot to it that's not in front of them, behind the scenes. So creating and having a successful music business class at a university is also on my list.
What is working well for you now in business?
The ability for my business to really distinguish themselves as one that does high quality events, specifically in the corporate space, and getting the opportunity to do events like that across the country. That's working well. I want more, but that's working well right now.
About the last 30 days, what was your biggest win?
The last 30 days, finally going back and doing an in real life event after the pandemic. That was a win. Being able to attend MPI's global conference, co-host a morning talk show for the conference, and appearing on stage at a breakout session also, because I want to do more speaking, more things like that. So that happened in mid-June, which I really, those are really two big wins coming out of the pandemic.
And how do you celebrate your wins?
I need to do better at this. So a lot of times I might buy myself a little treat, whether it be, something for the house, something for me, go, like a massage, things like that. Treat myself to a meal at one of my favorite restaurants, a little bit of self-care there. But I do need to kind of do a little better at that. But that's generally what I might do to treat myself.
Talk about business continuity. What is your highest risk as a business owner?
Becoming irrelevant will be the highest risk because there's numerous DJs all across LA, the world. And so you have to really continue to work to distinguish yourself, to stay different, stay relevant. So you risk, if you kind of just stand still and don't continue to evolve, you risk becoming irrelevant and people forgetting about you. So you have to continually, you're always in motion, always working, staying top of mind. That's the biggest risk.
And what is your zone of genius?
Zone of genius would be teaching people either how to DJ or kind of in the music business, the business space. I do very well at that. DJing slow jams, specifically R&B, soul music, kind of that mid-tempo to low-tempo, down-tempo music. That's my zone of genius for sure. Those are the two that come to mind right away.
And what is your weakness as an entrepreneur?
I think weakness is just not being able to scale just yet. That's where we're not there quite yet, being able to scale and be on a major, being able to do like 4 or 5 events the same day with myself and other DJs. We're just not there yet. So we're working towards that and making sure that that's where I want to be, but that's probably the optimal weakness currently.
Talk about raising capital to start your business.
So with my business, I'm bootstrapped. So I chose to not raise any capital, just keep it kind of within my own personal savings, my own investments. That way I didn't have a board or, anyone like that who's in charge of giving me the capital to answer to. I think the best way to raise capital is just through networking, meeting the right people who take an interest in you specifically, who will then support your businesses. But personally, I continue to just bootstrap and not invest in capital because I want to be able to change and have my business evolve in how I see it and not have to check in with a certain board before making any major decisions like that.
If someone spent a whole day with you, what would they learn about you that they don't know?
They would learn that I do have a good skill about managing my time, because I really have to be focused on managing my time, putting different tasks in different buckets. So they would say, definitely I have a skill in terms of managing my time. And maybe I'm a little bit quieter than I appear on stream or on stage DJing, because, you have to put on a certain persona when you're DJing and performing. But off stage, I'm pretty quiet, so to speak, and just love to kind of be a little cerebral. And I think that might surprise people.
What is something that we don't know about the DJ business that we should know?
The DJs are more than just playing records and pushing buttons. They have high emotional IQs, and they are able to do 4 and 5 things at once, whether it be DJing, mixing between 2 songs, figuring out where they want to get to 4 or 5 songs from now, being on the microphone while doing that, making sure that the dance floor is packed, the people are there, continue to please their clients so that they're happy with what's going on, and, kind of their executive producers, technology experts, because they have to manage a whole bunch of technology at one time too. So people don't realize just how talented DJs are. And then after the show is over, we have to be marketers, accountants, and strong businessmen or women, because we're always trying to grow our business and get new gigs and get new opportunities. And primarily, most of us have to do this on our own. So we have to have a strong business sense also.
Talk about that DJ, and I'm thinking about being on the dance floor, and then, you were saying that you have to keep the dance floor packed. What is going through the DJ's mind when they see people, they've scattered, they're not on the dance floor, and the DJ keeps that vibe going? Is it the reason they keep the vibe going is because the person that hired them gave them a certain genre to play, or they're just in that mood?
That could be very well a reason. If we've been instructed to only play a certain type of music, even if the dance floor does disperse, we usually have to stay in that pocket. Or the DJ might not be aware that what they're playing isn't moving the crowd, so they might not have the level of self-awareness to adjust quickly. Because if you do see a crowd dispersing and you have the opportunity and the ability to shift genres, shift music, then you should shift it pretty quickly, because the goal is to keep the dance floor packed. So, but there are times when we're instructed to only play this type of music, and I don't care if the dance floor is full or not, and then we just have to stay in that lane. If that is not the case, then we as DJs have a responsibility to figure out what will bring the people back to the dance floor and keep them there.
What drives you every day to continue to do what you do?
I love what I do. I love being a DJ. I love seeing the impact music has on people when they're at a party, a function. And I love to expose people to new music. Or if people say, if I'm streaming and people are like, wow, I haven't heard this song in a while, that's what really, really kind of excites me. And, the feeling you get when you're playing a song and people are singing along, dancing, and you cut the volume, and yet people are still singing along as the song is off. That's why I do what I do. And that's kind of why I love it. And that drives me every day to continue to improve and to provide my gift to the world.
What would you have done differently before starting your business?
Besides starting sooner, I would probably have tried to network and meet with even more DJs than I did when I started, to learn from them. I probably would have started to learn the piano earlier on in life, just because that helps with music production tremendously. And I would have kept up a better record collection too. Those are three things that kind of come to mind right away.
Where do you hope to be in the next 5 years?
Next 5 years, my plan is to have a full-time teaching position at a major university, still be very busy with my DJ schedule because the two go hand in hand very well. And then I want to continue to speak at conferences and events about the DJ life, live streaming, and just the music industry in terms of representing independent and new musicians to make them aware of the pros and cons of signing with the label and how they should protect their assets, which is their songs, their copyrights. So those are kind of the three buckets that I really want to be more active in or continue to be active in 5 years from now. It's a pretty clear plan between teaching, being active at the university, DJing all over the world, and then providing a resource and being an educational resource for musicians, especially new musicians or independent musicians, because there's a knowledge gap between what the veterans in the music industry know and what new musicians do not know. And I want to help to fill that knowledge gap through classes, seminars, conferences, and other communication and methods of education.
What is your biggest challenge of being an entrepreneur?
Entrepreneurship can be a very lonely game, so to speak. And so just staying close to people, especially as we're coming out of a pandemic where we were isolated for over a year, and then just growing the business in the right way that will continue to make me happy and not lead me to burnout. That's the biggest challenge.
Talk about mental health and music.
Well, music can help solve many mental health issues, whether it be a simple instrumental, orchestral music that can really relax you, music that brings back memories from your youth, hopefully they're positive memories, and just music that will help you exercise better, which will then lead to better mental health. And so there's numerous ways where music helps, and it's everywhere, watching TV, when you're driving, walking around the park. So I think music is one of the best and most inexpensive cures for mental health issues. And we don't use it enough, but we should. And I'm here to advocate for that.
There are so many brands and businesses that are dominating. Talk about a brand or a business that's dominating that you admire and why.
I think when you look at Apple they've recreated their entire business. They used to be primarily computers back in the day, grew up programming Apple IICs. And now you look at your phones and your laptops, and it's just amazing how we're all kind of addicted to them. And they're our primary method of communication. You can use them to film movies, music videos. You can use them to produce music. And I just think that they're dominating. They continue to evolve and stay relevant. And it's just impressive to witness where they've come from, how they've recreated themselves, reinvented themselves, the company. And looking forward, it looks like, they are set up to be with us for a long time. And their journey has been very impressive. So I admire that company.
What is one valuable lesson you wish you knew before starting your business?
The lesson of resilience. I think that it's easy nowadays. If you try something, it's not working, whether it be, a business, a segment of your business, it's easy just to kind of start over or just not really quit it, but change. But if you stick with an idea, if you believe in an idea and you stick with it, and you have some indicators that it will work, but it might take you a little bit longer, that's a valuable lesson. I think that maybe in the past, there might have been ideas that I had that I gave up on too quickly, which ironically will come back around, and maybe I'll then pursue them later on. So I think the lesson of resilience, combining that with the lesson of patience, I wish I would have learned these lessons earlier on, because I have to practice them now and I'm successful at practicing them, but I could be further along if I'd applied them sooner in life.
Talk about your top 2 influencers or mentors, and what lessons did they teach you?
I think with mindset, I'm a really big Les Brown fan. I think Les Brown's an amazing, amazing individual. I would love to meet him in person. and just his story. I listen to a lot of his books consistently on rotation throughout the year. And even though he was speaking in like the mid 80s, late 80s, his thoughts on mindset are very relevant nowadays. So he's one. I also consider like DJ Jazzy Jeff because he is a music producer, actor, phenomenal DJ, DJs all over the world. But then, he brings other DJs together. I think it's the retreat when he brings people together, other DJs for education, for just general, I forget the proper fraternization. I hope I'm saying the right word, on a yearly basis. And so he's giving back to this community and the DJ community in a way that can't be replaced. And it's amazing. So he definitely is one. I hope I can get him on one of my shows and meet him in person also. So those are two kind of mentors that I look up to and continue to follow what they do on a daily basis.
What do you do personally when you have to reset or readjust when you hit that bump in the road?
One thing that helps me is to read different articles that maybe have been written about me or things that I've highlighted some of my success. So that lets me know that even though I'm going through a bump in the road right now, I have been successful in the past and I'll be successful in the future. This is just temporary. And then, sometimes I might take a step away for a couple of days if I'm able to, just to kind of reset my mind. As I spoke about Les Brown, I'll listen to a couple specific chapters in one of his books that really helps you continue to get your mind right. I will talk to people who are like part of my tribe, my community, so I can kind of fill them in and get advice just to make sure I'm on the right path, but also I don't stay down too long. So I use a combination of those 3 or 4 things to kind of get through any bumps in the road.
What is the hope for your generation?
The hope for my generation is that we continue to make a difference in the world. We continue to be the first at doing and making major accomplishments, that we continue to give back to our community so we can lift and pull other people through with us as we try to make change in the world, and that we can continue to educate people in a positive fashion.
Is there a social cause tied to your business?
I'm very active with this camp. It's called Camp Spinoff. DJ Teena T out of Vegas created this camp over 10 years ago. It's for kids ages 13 to 17, boys or girls who want to be involved or learn how to DJ or produce music. So I'm an active counselor at that camp every year. The past 2 years, we haven't had the camp because of our, what's going on in the world, but we've still done virtual events. And so I donated a portion of my book sales to that camp, and I'll continue to give back my time and energy for that. We always have about 50% of the camp attendees in the summer will be paid, but we also give about half in scholarships. And a lot of scholarships go to, campers of color, African-American campers, specifically from a certain district here in LA. And that's important to me. And so that's kind of one of the causes that I stick with continuously as I've grown my career.
Give me 3 words that describe Amani.
Loyal, patient, and a risk taker.
Talk about your most memorable moment in life or business.
Business, I think just graduating from Scratch Academy after I had not passed the final class the first time was a major turning point and launching point for my business to hit that next level. I think that would be one. I can't mention just one. Number 2 would be the book that I released would be number 2, because that was amazing. And then 3, as of July 1st, I'm the president of Meeting Professional International Southern California chapter, the first African-American president in 45 years ever of the chapter. That's a big deal. So those are the 3 that come to mind right now. I'm sorry I gave you 3. I couldn't resist.
No, that's great. I love it. I love it. I love it. Looking back, what are you most proud of?
That I've been able to successfully transition from a corporate career to being a successful entrepreneur. And this entrepreneurship continues to grow. And I just see so many other opportunities. And then my second one would be becoming a professor at a major college university. That's amazing to me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
If you conducted this interview, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
I think maybe I would ask myself, what's the best advice I've ever been given? And to answer that question, I want to give a different answer, that something we haven't shared just yet. I think, one of my previous bosses told me that feedback is a gift, and you can't return, you can't take it personally, feedback, especially when it's given to you from someone who's in the arena with you. So if you get feedback, definitely try to step back, but take it, listen to it, try to apply it to what you're doing in your professional and personal life, and just use it to get better. Don't identify with it, improve, be open to feedback, because you get further along than if you're closed.
We've come to the part of our interview. It's called Fun Facts Lightning Round. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I want you to give me very quick answers. If there's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the Fun Facts Lightning Round?
Yes, I am ready.
Your first job.
A bag boy at Snyder's Supermarket in Silver Spring, Maryland.
Your favorite color.
Orange.
The last movie you saw.
Sliding Doors.
You relax doing what?
Reading.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
Mariah Carey.
Your favorite dance song?
Maybe I Want to Dance with Someone by Whitney Houston.
What food you eat every week no matter what?
I can't eat it every week, but I want to say pancakes.
Your favorite month?
This has changed through the years. I'll say June.
Work out or hit the couch?
Gotta work out.
Amani Roberts, thank you so much for spending time with us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, why don't you share with our audience the best way for them to connect with you and do business with you? And feel free to leave all your social media handles.
Yes, so my website is AmaniExperience.com. Amani is A like Apple, M like Mary, A like Apple, N like Nancy, I like ice, the word experience. That's also my handles on social media, Instagram. Twitch is twitch.tv/Amani Experience. Twitter is just Amani Experience. Facebook, Amani Experience. You can also join my bi-monthly, twice a month, I'll do a newsletter. You can get that through my website. And just reach out to me if you would like to hire me for any kind of event you have, for music, moderating. I do an excellent job of moderating different conversations, speaking, public speaking about different topics. So just reach out for that. And my book, Amazon.com, wherever you buy your books, DJs Mean Business. Those are the best ways to reach me. Professionally, LinkedIn, you can look me up, Amani Roberts, and then just put DJ in it. I'll pop up there. Follow me there, reach out to me, and kind of engage and create a dialogue on those platforms. And I love to chat and get to know all of your listeners.
Thank you. That's a wrap.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.